Alright, what's going on, y'all? We are back, season 2 of the Pull Up. I'm your host, Wise Bexley. This season we're gonna do things a little different. Before we were pretty much just trying to shine light on people that were doing stuff independently, entrepreneurs and businessmen and women, and just trying to tell their story. But this season, I'm gonna try something different and more of make it more like a therapy session, and we're gonna dive deep for season 2. We're gonna ask people questions that don't normally get asked. And yeah, so today we are here
Hi, I'm Ashley Nichole on Instagram as A_cunning_1, the Reiki healing, personal training, all around healer. Oh, traveling also. So, yeah, doing all the things.
okay. Ashley, do you have like a spiritual name, or have you been given a spiritual name?
I haven't. So, right now, it is just Ashley Nichole because it's going in between my favorite.
All right, you had froze up like crazy.
You want me to say it again?
Yes, please. You froze up like crazy.
So the whole intro, or you want me to just answer that question?
Yeah, just a question.
Okay. So as far as the spiritual name goes, no, because right now I'm going in between both my fitness business and the spiritual side, and so I'm just waiting on spirit to divinely time that for me.
Okay. So we're gonna dive right in, man. I ain't gonna play no games. What is your earliest memory of trauma?
Earliest memory was probably it was experiencing death at 4 years old, and it wasn't just like, oh, someone I know, but like it was a parent of mine, and then going from there, it was just traumatic. It was a domino effect of traumatic events, but it was the death of my mother.
Mm. And how did that, at a young age, do you remember how it impacted you at that age, or is it impacting you more so now as you've grown up?
If I'm being honest, I think that's what created the survivor Ashley, who carried me through, the 98% of my life. Now I understand it, whereas then in retrospect, I see I was doing what I had to do to cope. So like my mother was dead, and so I was trying to assimilate every other woman as a mother figure when that's not how it happens. Whereas now, as me understanding it spiritually and also psychologically, um, I don't have the need for that. I'm able to reparent myself. So a little bit of both, but it was more so survivor before, whereas now it's understanding and I guess transmuting said trauma.
Like you said something then, you transmuting that trauma. We got to place it somewhere. Like we repress it. Most of us repress our trauma to the point where we don't even remember it anymore. But then it turns us into psychopaths. We end up being lunatics because
Yeah.
we're holding it in. Okay, so that was a good answer. So how about if you could change one decision that you made in your life up until this point, what would it be?
I don't think I would change anything if I'm being honest. Um,
Mm.
and there's that cliche. Everybody answers the exact same way. They're like, "Oh, I wouldn't change anything," but it genuinely, now that I fully understand what this journey called life is on, me and I would change thing means I would lose perspective or knowledge of the outcome. So
Mm.
I wouldn't necessarily change it. There's bad circumstances of things that happen, but I genuinely would not change anything because I feel like everything that's happened in my life has created the being that I am today that's still here. And that's something I would never change. This comes from appreciation.
So it's no It's not no moments in your life where you just wish you can just take it back.
I don't think I don't think I would at all. Like especially like
Wow.
with things that I've done, I don't think I would take anything back at all because things that have happened to me have somewhat they haven't created the person because I can make a choice. You know, whatever happens to you, you make a choice how to deal with it. Um, but I don't think I would take anything back. And there's a lot
Right.
that has happened, but um,
So you
I
found some type
this
of
is
weird appreciation for everything that's happened for you, happened to you. I mean,
in a way, yes, because that's what my purpose is that I'm comfortable with is that I've gone through something, and so a lot of things they can be painful, they can be triumphant, they can be learning lessons, they can be happy, they could be just like, okay, well, this is how I'm carrying it moving forward. But I think a lot of the things that have happened, I'm not going to say to me because if my shaman heard that, she'd be like, no, it's not to you. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. But a lot of things that have happened for me have made me the person that I want to be. And it's okay, how can I take that has happened, you know, in my life and be able to not necessarily help, but be of service for others.
mm,
Um, and I think it's hard, and that was a hard pill to swallow. Um, but it's all perspective, and then coming to peace with a lot of things, and just sitting in it, if that makes
it's
sense.
it makes perfect sense, and that kind of plays into my next question. Really, is what keeps you motivated, like with just life in general? Like what makes you want to stay alive? What makes you want to be here?
If you were to ask me that 6 months ago, I wouldn't have an answer for you. Um, Now is because I have a deeper, not even love, but appreciation for who I am and what I contribute. So, like, my driving force is there's always something that I take enjoyment from. Um, and it's little dumb things. So, like, every morning when the sun is shining, I'm deeply appreciative of that. And that gives me purpose because that gives me another opportunity for me to increase either my knowledge, my contribution to society, seeing the change that I could possibly make, or even um, not even necessarily to society, because that kind of makes me sound like I want to be a superhero, and like that's not it at all. Um, because I want to keep pushing myself. I
Mm,
want feeling and seeing that change in myself is something that does motivate me because no one's ever perfect. We're all imperfectly or perfectly imperfect.
mm-hmm.
And that's something that drives me because it's like I'm never gonna be perfect. I don't want to be perfect. But if I could take something that I hold dear to my heart that's in me and I know that I can either improve or I want to see what that next step is, that's what's driving me right now. As of right now, that could change next week. I mean, hell, it could change in an hour,
Right,
but that's my
absolutely.
motivation right now because I've seen the change. Yeah.
That's a good answer. As far as like your journey right now, what have you noticed about your circle or the people that you were interacting with on a regular basis? Like once you got in a certain mindset, did the people around you look at you different, or did those people disappear, or like how did that go with your social life? The more spiritual or more awakened that you became?
So I think everybody is seasonal, and whether that season is lifelong, that just depends on the alignment for it. I noticed personally that there was a mass shedding, and it's because a lot of my friendships were coming from codependency. It was coming from my need to feel like I was making a difference for other people. It wasn't coming from myself. So it's like I was an act of service, and that's where I thought relationships came from. I thought love was transactional. I thought loving me was conditional. So once I started really, and again, not necessarily loving myself, but appreciating the that I am, simply being. there were things that just did not add up. Two and two was equaling triangle at one point, and that's
Right.
where it just all the people needed, not all, um, but relationships need to change. And it's not just with people, it can be with substances, it can be with like what you like and stuff like that. But they change and they shed on purpose. Will back, who knows? And I'm now okay with that. I don't have that attachment because I do not need to have the wrong energy or people around me,
Mm.
including myself. There's sometimes I gotta put my time out. I'm doing it.
You feel like you feel like right now the people that's in your life are perfect for what's going on in your life right now. Like, is that how that works
For
for
right,
you?
yes.
Yeah.
For right now, yeah. And I've met a lot of beautiful individuals. And what I used to do before was like, oh my God, we're gonna be like in each other's lives forever, and we're
Right.
gonna be best friends and stuff like that. And I'm just like, that's not, no, I'm gonna appreciate you're here right now. I'm here for you right now. It doesn't mean that, there's no savior complex, there's nothing like that. It's just we're here. It's this moment. If you're not here in a week, next month, whatever, then is there. And people are experiences. People aren't possessions. So you got to take that as an experience.
That's a good quote. People are definitely, but I feel like that's what kind of ruins most relationships. Not even just romantic relationships, but just friendships. Also, like people become too possessive, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to control the actions of the other person to fit whatever, I mean, whatever they want out of the relationship, and that's usually what
So,
ends relationships.
and again, I think that's something that we're taught because, society automatically thinks, monogamy is one thing. Then also like, what's your service to me? Or like, what are you doing for me? Or what's that tit for tat? But
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite quotes about human relationship and then just like the intertwining of humans, and I cannot remember who said it, but I see the picture in my head. And it's like, if you see a beautiful flower, you don't pick it, you let it be and you appreciate it as it is. And
Mm.
that's exactly what you do with people. You don't pick it, you don't try to change it, you don't try to possess it, because possession it's from desire. It's from
Mm-hmm.
desperation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something, if we consciously make that, no, I'm not going to say consciously. If you intentionally want to experience people as a whole because you also want to be experienced, possession isn't even a fathomable thought.
Mm. So you're saying possession is a limiting trait. It limits the not just you, but the relationship in general. It
I
limits it.
feel like it stifles it. It stifles it and it suffocates it, because at that point, possession, that leads, in my head, and I could be wrong. Again, this is all the way that I've experienced things.
Right.
Possession for me comes from the need to keep people around, or it comes from the
Mm.
need for validation. And
You
it's
said
like,
something.
why? Yeah, and that, I mean, again, I'm still working through it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect with it, but it's definitely where I'm starting to see like, okay, well, this is a person who has their own life, their own behind the scenes stuff. So taking things personally, wanting to own or possess this person, and like having them on conditions is a very, I want to say, horse blind or narrow minded concept. And again, I'm not 100% out of it, but I do see that it's a very different take on people. And I definitely appreciate that perspective.
And so we're gonna dive a little bit deeper, man. So what is your
Mm-hmm.
relation? What was your relationship, and what is your relationship with sex? And does it have any type of direct connection to your past traumas?
So that's a multifaceted answer. So a previous very prominent, and this is for women, especially Black women in the US, is sex is, we're not allowed to be sexual.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's on a pendulum and you swing. Either I'm going to be a prude in society or I'm going to be hypersexual. And I chose hypersexual because I decided to deny what my truth was. And I was like, well, sex is just a physical act. I'm going to do dumb shit all the time because I want to have the power. And that's when I was just like, that was a trauma for me because I was like, am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
okay. Because I had to ask. Especially in college, I'd be like, man, niggas ain't never gonna treat me right, you know, all this other shit. So I'm gonna do them how they do me.
Defense mechanism.
Then I discover I'm like, yes, there you go. It's the immediate, because it's the knee-jerk reaction. You hurt me, so I'm gonna hurt you. I'm taking karma. I'm gonna be karma today.
Yeah. And
in reality, that's really just is depleting your power, because you ultimately have the decision of how you're gonna react to something, how you're gonna deal with it moving forward. That's a long-winded way of me saying it. So like before, I used to think of sex like just a physical act. I was just like, all right, I'm fucking to be fucking. And my body would tell me, if we're being fully transparent, I'm allergic to everything. And so my body was literally looking up at me and being like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? And that was my first insight, be really knowing my body, because that's not something I was aligned with. That's not something I truly believed in my soul. Whereas now, I'm definitely not saying I'm waiting till marriage or something, but I'm very intentional with who I choose to share my body with. One, because I know myself now. She not about to be for anybody. I have to have that connection. If I can't have a conversation with you, that's gone. If I sense that you're hypersexual, that's gone. And then also just basic conversation. If you objectify women, that's not gonna happen. Narrow-minded, not gonna happen. Small town mindset, not gonna happen. So now I'm not saying like, oh, you have to be holier than that, because that's definitely not it. But I have to have some other sort of connection.
So let me play devil's advocate real quick, or kind of devil's advocate. If
yes,
if you're an attractive person, right, and how do you pick and choose who's authentic and who's not if they're both attracted to you? So, okay, for example, if you got a fuck nigga and a good nigga, and they're both attracted to you though sexually, how do you differentiate between the two initially? Like, how do you choose to give somebody that, okay, this guy isn't over sexualizing me, even though he's sexually attracted to me, but he's not over sexualizing me, or it could, or somebody might be pretending like they're not over sexualizing you, and then you come to find out later. Like, so how does that work with you with being an attractive person? Like, how do you be able to decipher through life like that?
So I'm usually not good at that, which is why my phone is in do not disturb all the time, and I don't answer my phone. And I'm admitting that I'm not the greatest at discerning it, but if I have that connection with someone, and it's not something that happens like immediately. Don't get me wrong, like there have been people that I've been like in close proximity, and I'm like, I'm about to fuck the shit out of this person. But I'm not gonna, because I just know it feels so wrong. It's gonna be trying to be like two different puzzles. I'm gonna be trying to fit a square inside of a rhombus, and it's not gonna happen. But discerning between the two, it just comes down to time. But
the time that you spend with them. What do you mean by time?
Spend with them or conversing, yeah.
Okay.
But I also, though, I don't believe I'm saying this because I don't know who this person is. Obviously, it's me. But like, I don't want it right now.
You don't want what?
So I don't want, like, if I was put in a position to where someone was like, hey, I want to get to know you or something. This has recently just happened. I want to get you, or like we're texting and stuff like that. I really just put on the back burner just because I'm doing so much with my own work, with my own self, with, all that other stuff. If it were to come up, then, it comes up. But I don't think, like, that's like right now, it's like trying to catch, what's something that moves really fast that you just can't catch? I don't know. You try to get attention, it's just
A
like, nope,
pig?
I'm sure. Let's go with that.
Chasing a
Like,
pig.
I don't know. Right, yeah. Oh, I don't want to call myself a pig though, but I mean, whatever, for fucking example's sake, we gonna do it. But it's just right now, it's like, one, because I know I'm not great at that. I'm not. I'm not, because I've been hoodwinked and bamboozled.
Right.
So, and I'm just like, yeah, I mean, it's not on my pedestal anymore. Yeah, relationships are cool and I would love to be in one. Do I know how I would be in a relationship? I don't know. Casual fuck buddies, absolutely not. It's not in. Um, but because I know I'm not the greatest at it, I'm just not paying attention to it. It's not on not the forefront of my radar right now.
So right now, somebody would have to literally be like Prince Charming for real, to get your attention. Like,
I wouldn't even say that. I just think I'm very aware, and I would just be like, look, it's not gonna happen. Like, even if it was Prince Charming, you could sit here and hold a big ass sign. You could be Jesus goddamn Christ sitting in front of me like you're about to marry him. And I'm be like, that's cool. He gonna have to wait. Cause
just
like
more
I'm
focus
not
on
ready for
yourself.
that shit.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I also don't know how I would show up. And that's something else. I'm not about to show up as an incomplete person for you or for me.
Right.
Um, and I'm just, no, fuck that. Nope, I ain't doing it. I don't do stress well, so I'm just nope.
All right. So I got one more question, and this is actually I got a podcast that I do every Friday, and this is the topic of the podcast that I'm doing Friday. So
Yes.
if you were able to go all the way through life and come back with the knowledge of the life that you just lived, right? Would you choose?
Mm-hmm.
Would you choose? There's two sayings: "It's ignorance is bliss, and there's knowledge is power." Right? Would
Mm.
Would you choose? What would you choose out of those two? Would you choose to remain ignorant through your next lifetime to everything, or and before you answer, I want to get a little more detail before you answer. Would you choose to go through life ignorant, or would you choose to obtain the knowledge that you had before and plus try to attain more knowledge? Okay, so before you answer that, with me, maybe not for everybody, but with me, once I became aware of certain things, they never left me. Like once I started doing research, like I can't not know it anymore. So I know how fucked up our
Mm-hmm.
country is. I know how fucked up the world is. I know how fucked up pretty much everything that makes money. You know what I mean? And once you know that, it kind of makes it difficult to live life. Like once you know how fucked up the food
Yeah.
is, now you struggling finding what type of diet that you want to live in because you don't know what's poison or not, right? So
Yeah.
with ignorance, you go through life living a certain way and then you die. Does it matter that you were ignorant because you're dead? You get what I'm saying? Like, but I didn't have the
Yeah.
stress of knowing so much stuff. I didn't have the stress of the responsibility because once you learn things, now it comes with a responsibility of that. Do I have to share this information with people? Do I have to let the world know that this
Mm.
information exists? How far will I go with this information? Am I willing to die to release this information? Like, it's so many layers to having knowledge and knowing things. And then when you're ignorant, you kind of, you know what I mean? You kind of cruise control. Like people might look at you and judge you, but your personal life is kind of, I'm partying every
Yeah.
day. You know what I mean? Like I'm having fun like a motherfucker. I'm a gold digger. Like all these different things that don't require. I'm making millions of dollars on OnlyFans. Like all these things, because the more knowledge you get, the more of a moral compass that you gain, right? Because you learn different perspectives.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, you don't have nothing to gauge it off of. You can kind of live your life with no morals, but you can have a successful life with no morals, rich, live, travel, do whatever you want. All right, now, which one would you choose?
So with you saying this, are we talking like multiple lifetimes over? So like your Akashic record type lifetimes, and like I have it and I remember going into my next lifetime, or would I relive this lifetime with this knowledge? I'm just trying to clarify.
Just it doesn't have to be specified to your existence right now, but just in general, like going through life from your experience from being an ignorant individual to being a more well-rounded individual, you're able to experience both outlooks of life. So which outlook is your preference? You get what I'm saying? Like which one would you complete your life if you just had to go your whole life a certain way? Would you rather be that ignorant person that had fun and fucked around and just really had a blast? Don't get me wrong, motherfuckers had a blast. But would you rather be the knowledgeable person that's trying to heal people and try to save the world, even though that responsibility is so stressful?
That's a very interesting question. Part of me, I'm I'm calling it. I'm gonna say keeping the knowledge, not because I would change anything, but because I would, it may take away some of the like how long these lessons came and like how intense they were. Cause like I don't like listening. So my knowledge came after failing multiple times. So I think I'm going, and I'm basing this off of one small thing that you said. You said you can live in ignorance and you can still be successful, but the one word that doesn't come with ignorance is fulfillment. And I think knowledge brings the fulfillment that I would need. I can't, like every day, I'm bursting because I'm just like, I want to either share this with someone or it'll attract the right people to me. Right. And that's fulfilling for me because that serves as connection versus the ignorance. Yeah, I could be successful, but like, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to keep the knowledge and add on top of it, I guess, from there, because that would be more fulfilling to me. It comes at a cost. Either one, they both come at a cost, but I think that cost is worth it. Yeah.
Because of the fulfillment in the end.
Yeah, I think that. Now watch, I'm gonna call you tomorrow and I'm gonna be like, we gotta redo everything.
And then, cause I just look at it like from the perspective of the OnlyFans worker, because she doesn't have the perspectives of a more knowledgeable person. She can find the emotion of fulfillment within what she's doing. You get what I'm saying? Because she doesn't know any other perspective to, you get what I'm saying, to gain that spiritual
fulfillment. But you could
fulfillment.
also, though. But now I'm gonna challenge you though, because now we got to bring into philosophy for it. Because who's saying or stating this standard? Who's saying like, what is the standard of said fulfillment from an OnlyFans person? I know someone that like, I'm just doing it because, you know, I got a whole ass mortgage I gotta pay, or, you know, whatever. And they could still be living a very fulfilled life. There's a girl that she works 10 hours a damn month on OnlyFans, making hella dumb money, but super aware. And it's like, can you balance both? So what is said ignorance? What qualifies as ignorance? Is it the knowledge of self? Is it the knowledge of community? And then the true knowledge? Or is it that face value of what society has put on us as ignorant or as acceptable or as normal?
That's where it gets tricky, because you're right. Who does set the standards of what would be considered ignorant or how it affects you? Because I guess it's people, because it is people. It's people that strip with that know all the ins and outs and what's wrong with the situation that they're doing. Like, everybody's not oblivious of what the negatives could be of doing this. All I think about is that when people have children and you become 50, 60 years old, but that footage doesn't go anywhere. and
Got you.
your children are, I mean, maybe forced to relive some type of shit that didn't have nothing to do with them. And it's your responsibility to kind of keep them away from shit like that because you brung them here. Like they didn't really ask to be a part of this realm or whatever. So a different type of responsibility of how you represent yourself kind of comes with being a parent. But like you said, it gets tricky, but because what's right and what's wrong, honestly, in life in general, what's right and what's wrong, you know, it's all perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, bringing up children is another thing because then even then you still have ignorance versus knowledge. Because I know there are parents out there, and this is disgusting. I think this is one of the most deplorable things on earth. But like, and you see it a lot in movies, but it's very real life. But like, well, I had to go through it, so they should have to go through it too. What the fuck? No, that to me is morally wrong, and that's making a decision like you're choosing. Right. And at that point, now you're looking at ignorance versus knowledge in a very different way. So, especially in that way, I would easily say knowledge because then you're passing that on. But that's a whole like 3-hour conversation we can get into because that's another reason I don't need to be parent. Anyway.
Yeah, parenthood I feel like it just adds on a different responsibility to your life. And if you're not really ready to give up certain things, then you probably shouldn't bring life into the world. That's just me being honest.
Same thing.
Because
I don't need them.
How many people are suffering from trauma that was directly passed down from their parents? You know, where we can blame our ancestors for sure because they you know what I mean, they embedded some of these traditional disciplinary actions into our households. But it's also up to each person individually to make a stance within their generation. Like my family got a lot of fucked up shit, but I feel I take pride in building something different for my kids and letting them see another perspective of life. So it's up to the person, is what I'm saying. Like we can blame our ancestors, we can blame the white man, we can blame all these different entities, but when it comes down to it, it's up to you.